In this change of technology, what's happening is that exponential changes are taking place in technology. The technology, fortunately, with AI and ML, is becoming exponentially intelligent. And to that extent, humans are not able to adapt to that so fast. So there is a wisdom lag happening at every point of time now onwards. Well, even today, the data says that the humans have an IQ of, say, 150, 51. Maybe the brightest person on earth today, Elon Musk, could be at 150, 151. But technology has the capability of outstripping it very soon. And the day it becomes an IQ of 1,000, 1,000 plus, or 50,000, or millions, or billions.
Hi friends, hope you guys are doing really well. So welcome to this very latest episode of Money Matters. And today I have a very special guest for you. It's none other than my own father, Mr. Rajeev Bhadauria. And I would like to welcome him today for this Money Matter podcast. And today's session is going to be very interesting because today, yes, we want to discuss about money because this is about money. But most of the people actually think that money is about directly earning money, but not getting those qualities which actually get you to earn money. So today's focus shall be on the aspects which ultimately make you successful so that we move towards money ultimately. So the goal remains to get money, but in a purposeful manner. What do you want to do in life? So welcome and thank you so much, first of all, for joining me on this conversation. I thought he'll be the best person to actually guide us through this era of disruption, the major trends which are happening throughout the world. Mr. Rajeev has been an ex-director with Jindal Steel, also as part of the Reliance Group for a major part of his career. And he is currently on the board of a lot of listed companies today. He's currently mentoring a lot of CXOs also on how to think beyond operations, how to think beyond the general conventions of business and think about the newer things which are happening, disruptive technology as well. So welcome, and let me start with something which is like really close to my heart, which right now is obviously investing. But then I wanted to ask you that what do you feel are the major disruptive aspects which investors have to watch out for tomorrow?
Well, thank you very much, in fact, and I'm really happy to be here on your show.
Thank you.
It's a proud moment for me. Well, before we get into the space of investing and getting money, we have to think about the current context of where you earn money from and how you earn money. How is business doing and what are the implications and the context of technological disruption that's happening? How does technology change the production system? The production system requires a different organizing system, and different organizing systems would require different governance systems.
Right.
So the context changes with technology. And therefore, your investment opportunities, your investment arenas, and the very purpose of investment changes. So let's kind of, discuss the current context of business, basically, and business models that get to be shaped in this process. So let's start from the very beginning. The context today is basically framed by 3 to 4 forces, major forces, in fact. One is, of course, the non-linear accelerated changes that are taking place all around, including in technology. The other is that we live in a hyper-connected, interconnected digital world where things are getting channelized from complicated to becoming more complex. So while complication could have been handled by machines very well earlier in the past and even today, what's more important is that the context of something complex creates a paradox. So there is no single answer to that question, no singular answer to that question, or most of these questions. And this is where humanity and intersection of technology comes into question. What can technology do with its data-driven binary version of what you call a measured way of looking at things, and the androrhythms of humanity, of humans, who deal with multilinear, in fact, cognitive capabilities and understanding. So one is basically looking at patterns, and the other is interpreting the patterns with wisdom. Data, information, and knowledge But what is requirement of humanity and humans to understand and make sense of things, have that feeling, is basically driven by the internalized wisdom.
Amazing.
And in this change of technology, what's happening is that exponential changes are taking place in technology. The technology, fortunately, with AI and ML, is becoming exponentially intelligent. And to that extent, humans are not able to adapt to that so fast. So there is a wisdom lag happening at every point of time now onwards. Well, even today, the data says that humans have an IQ of, say, 150, 51. Maybe the brightest person on earth today, Elon Musk, could be at 150, 151. But technology has the capability of outstripping it very soon. And the day it becomes an IQ of 1,000 or 1,000 plus or 50,000 or millions or billions, we would have actually lost track of the level of intelligence that can be there in technology. So this wisdom gap that is emerging is also one cause of concern. And what's happening because of the other three forces, accelerated nonlinear changes, interconnected, hyperconnected digital world, the business models are getting challenged. Things are becoming more complicated and complex, and unpredictability creeps in. And therefore, the first casualty in this context is a strategy. How do you strategize for a future which is unpredictable? Well, not that future was ever predictable, but now the rate at change has made it so exponentially unpredictable that now it's very difficult to cope with this. So we call it the volatile world, the uncertain, complex, ambiguous world, VUCA. Also now we've heard the term called BANI. Brittleness is there, there's anxiety all over, there is non-linearity and incomprehensibility being experienced by people. So here, how do you do things when you don't know how to do them? When you don't know what you don't know, is that kind of a situation that is creeping in, and therefore we have to devise different ways to deal with the world that we don't understand. How to manage it, how to govern, how to kind of intelligently lead this life, in fact, of so much of complexity, dealing with paradoxes every day. So that is the context in which the business has to be facing, in fact, all the challenges. And we also have to find a way out, how to manage this very ambiguous and volatile, uncertain situation. How can we take decision in a state of semi-dark? We got to get comfortable with non-linearity being the reality. Linear explanation dies as death. There is all around lot of problems, a lot of challenges, which come and go, but and we face them also. But we have to all the time be challenged as to how do we do it? How do we do it? Not only by old rules of the game, because they seem to be now not working. So the whole paradigm of almost about 5,000 years of human civilization is now being questioned in this era. Suddenly, we have come to have what you call a phase change moment, where past was there was a past, there were rules of the game, there were golden rules, there were kind of competencies that you used to kind of, analyze and project the future and take decisions based on your strategy. The question is now you can get the burden of the past. You don't have to necessarily be burdened by the past. You have to get the benefit of it, but you can't get burdened by it anymore. So you have to devise new rules, in fact, to face not only the new game, but the new challenges every day. So that is probably the context in which we have to resolve our problems. Right. We have to not only think of survival, but how to actually thrive in this world.
Now, just moving on from here, what do you think are the 4 to 5 major topics of trends which might be emerging for future? All our investor audience would like to know that where should they look towards? Is it green energy? Is it AI? What do we do? How do we move forward from here? How do we look at 5 years, 10 years from now?
That's a very, very valid question, because we have to see the meta level changes, first of all. Let me see. There could be 3 to 4 of them. And what comes to my mind is that big data, of course, is going to be the new oil, which means a lot of data, if available to you, can probably be close to or approximately close to whatever you called predictability earlier. So big data is very necessary. So those businesses aligned with that and using it would be the ones who will be in better shape to face the future, the emerging future. The other would be that AI is going to be the new electricity, which means into every part and process and systems of technology, in our manufacturing, in our day-to-day life, in our organizations, in our systems, in our politics, in our governance is going to get very, very obvious. Which means that you have to really get smart. You have to do things not only with speed, efficacy, but even probity. So that's going to give you almost a godlike power to solve your problems, to kind of, face the challenges much better and be more prepared for facing the future and making your life more comfortable. Besides, of course, being smart and making things comfortable for the planet much better in alignment with the benefits to the planet as well as human welfare. So that is one part of the story. The third aspect I see is that green is going to be the new digital. So we say that a lot of digital changes and transformations are taking place, but almost they're all taking in the arena of making the processes and systems greener than ever before. Now, this is something very important because this leads us to the fourth conclusion, that the fourth point would be that sustainability, therefore, would be the new profitable. Now, just see, suddenly we have a change of dynamics of our understanding that, yes, we thought that sustainability is probably an extra cost to us. But then now we have almost brought ourselves on the brink of the sixth extinction event, where sustainability has become not only an imperative, but fortunately with using technology, and particularly AI, we can actually reverse global warming. The greenhouse gas concentration which has reached, disproportionately high proportions. So we can actually handle it with this technology. So sustainability can not only be necessarily be made an imperative, but also it is profitable. So now we have no reasons not to say that, we won't be part of this sustainability revolution. Along with the digital revolution and, of course, the purpose revolution will emerge from this. So now not only these meta-level changes will create challenges, but they also create purpose in life. The growth now, economic growth particularly, cannot be metaphysically blind.
Right.
They have to be in consonance with the planetary well-being and also, apart from that, for human welfare. They have to upgrade our life and they have to enrich our life and enlarge the scope of what we can do. In fact, in this context, I'm reminded of a sociobiologist called E.O. Wilson. He said the three problems of humanity are that we have Paleolithic emotions in this context. We have medieval institutions who have not caught up with the changes that have taken place.
Right.
And with the Paleolithic mindset that we still have, we still think in terms of scarcity, in terms of survival, that the evolutionary history has actually projected on us. And the third problem along with these is created by the fact that now we have godlike technology. And there is dissonance between all the three. The whole assumption that we are probably rational is not so much in place because we are primarily emotional beings.
Right.
And then rationalize.
Right.
So all those assumptions about understanding how our mind, our technology, our systems and our processes work has to be realigned to the new paradigm of change that has taken place.
Wow. Can you just repeat those 4 to 5 aspects which you said? AI is the new electricity, and just for the audience so that it gets internalized today.
Okay, that's like starting with big data being the new oil, A.
Right.
B, AI would be the new electricity.
Awesome.
Then green would be the new digital.
Awesome.
And sustainability would therefore be the new profitable.
Wow. So guys, today I think these are the major trends of the future. I think this will make us a lot of money. And I think majorly our focus should be long term. If the long term is straightened out, if we identify the long term, the short term is automatically taken care of. I see a lot of issues with the investing space currently, with the investors currently. They are thinking short term, and in that pursuit of thinking short term, what happens is they're not even able to perform well in the short term. So I always say these kind of themes are very important because once you think long term, your short term is automatically taken care of.
Yes,
and that's the beauty.
That's true.
So thank you so much for that, those golden nuggets. Now, keeping that focus in mind, I think we'll move forward from here. And just want to understand from you, what are your money values as well? I wanted to understand from you. In fact, we have been speaking about this for a long, long time. How do we earn money? You may call it morals, ethics. How do people want to earn their money? Many people do not even have money values. People do not have success values. You want success, but at what cost? Are you able to not to compromise on your value systems as well to gain money? What should you do? And I always say, you want money, you first have to become successful. And before you become successful, you have to earn your customers some money. And before they actually earn their money, they have to first become successful. So you want to earn money, you first become successful. And before that, your customers need to earn money. And before that, they have to become successful. But how do we make them successful? What are the ways? What do we have to keep in mind while leading into this pursuit of success?
So you have to define basically what success is. What is the importance and role of money in this all and wealth? And we have to differentiate between what is being rich and what is being wealthy. See, money is an imperative. Money is required, in fact, in all walks of life. You cannot have an organization, in fact, particularly if I talk to in organizational context, you can't have any other goal than making more and more money, but now and forever. So it's not blood money. It's not money by any means. The point is that Goldratt said this, that the only goal, singular goal of any company, any viable commercial company has to be making more and more money now and forever. And when you say now and forever, it has to be in principles of sustainability. It has to be always doing the right things. It has to be not only just following the right ways or processes, but also following the right kind of purpose and goal. And once you have this kind of a goal, it is a laudable goal to have. It's not that you are having some kinds of, pangs or some kinds of complexities around making money. Making money with good efforts and good purpose, for good purpose, basically. So let's be very clear about that. Now, the point is that in this world today, how is it going to actually help you become successful, first of all, yourself? And when you said the conditions that you laid, that before that you must help your customers, and in fact become richer and provide them value. So this is, I would say, the typical context of ikigai.
Right.
You have to find your ikigai.
Right.
You have to find that problem by solving which your customers would be ready to pay you.
What you're good at.
Yes, that follows, because you will get your ikigai only when you are good at doing things that you need to do and you love doing that, and that will also incidentally solve that major problem of society. Absolutely. And your customers, for which they'll be ready to pay you money.
Absolutely.
So it is a game of mutual benefit, win-win paradigm. It's not a zero-sum game. So you have to be very clear that with your customers you have to play a win-win game. When you become rich, there has to be a part of it that you have to enrich your customers, not only with your product and services, but also delight them every time, so that they have kind of stickiness with you. And when you grow with your customers, you really can grow big.
But what most people think is, let me get rich first and then I will contribute. I will give amazing products to my customer. I will give more value. But let me have money first.
No.
Does it ever happen like that?
That won't ever happen, and that has to be sequential. Not necessarily. It can happen. It may have happened. But in today's world, it has to be, and always I think it was, that simultaneously you have to do these things together. So it's not that I'll get this and I'll do that and then I will do that. You start doing good things, customers will come and understand the value. If they understand, you solve their problem. That's important. Are you solving any problem of the customer? As long as you continue to solve any problem, you will always be able to enrich your customers, and in the process, they'll pay you.
Right.
So that should be the simple paradigm of business. Right. And that is the reason what has happened, that our Faustian urge for growth. Right. What has happened in the last so many years, that we have actually reached on the brink of the sixth extinction event that I was mentioning earlier. Now, what is this? What has happened is that growth for the sake of growth. We have exploited and extracted mindlessly with our egocentric worldview that we are on top of the food chain and we have an instrumental right to exploit and extract from Mother Nature and humans. Now, probably this model has reached its limits, where because resources, in fact, natural resources are limited. And therefore now we talk about renewable sources of energy, renewable sources of material wealth and others. So in this context, you have to now move necessarily if you have to continue to be successful. This whole system is almost as if it's, in a breakdown state. You cannot continue to earn wealth the way you've earned for the past. You have to create new value paradigms, you have to solve new problems, you have to face, first of all, the existential crisis of the ecology being damaged beyond repair. So you have to create a model which will restore, first of all, Mother Earth's, that sanctity, that health of ecology, and then create a regenerative capacity. So in this paradigm, from exploitation, extraction to restoration and ultimately regenerative capacity being created, is the whole game of business challenges. And fortunately, despite all the negativities that we can talk about, what AI can create, dystopias and all sort of stuff that is being talked about, which we can of course discuss later, the point is that we can solve these problems.
I remember
and create a utopia.
I remember you keep talking about the businesses are not taking the environment into consideration. If they actually take the environment into consideration, take that cost as well, which we are taking from
this is
Mother
called
Nature.
Externalities, by the way.
Right.
Both the cost at the end of mining and also at the time of disposal of waste. It is considered externalities. It is not even factored into your P&L.
I love that concept which you shared with me once, where you were saying that if they make a profit and loss statement, considering the loss which they are
incurred on the environment, and they both ways, from the time when they extracted and the time they disposed it off wastefully,
and that will be the real profit if that happens at all.
So that's what I said. Now the new growth paradigm has to be not metaphysically blind, in the sense that now it has to be in consonance with planetary well-being and human welfare. Right. So what is happening is that, how does it all emerge? The current paradigm is that you increase consumption, the neoliberal capitalist paradigm, you increase consumption and increase production and thereby increase profits.
Right.
So it's a linear route.
Right.
The point now that we are making under the current context where sustainability is a major issue now, in fact, an overarching factor into it all, where the greenhouse gas concentration has gone beyond repair 500 parts per million. It has to be biosequestered. Reuse, recycle and reduce will not work alone now. You have to replace with the fossil fuel with the non-fossil fuels, in fact, the renewable source of energy.
Normally, what should be the
and material,
carbon,
and then biosequestrate.
What should be the carbon parts per million?
Till 1950,
right?
For the last 50 million years, I'm told, the concentration of greenhouse gas was between 150 to 300 parts per million. It is in the last 75 years with this use of exploitative digital technology, our capacity has grown up. So our capacity of technology growing up has also increased our capacity to extract and exploit more and more. So we have lent ourselves to this situation where now the greenhouse gas concentration is at 550 parts per million.
Wow.
And imagine, even if today we say that there is no addition, no carbon, in fact, emissions are reduced to zero today, which is not going to happen.
Of course.
But the point is that even if it happens, that whole tub full of greenhouse gas concentration, that envelope around our ecology is already there. 500 parts per million of greenhouse gas concentration is not sustainable. Is this that we want to sustain? We can't. You have to biosequestrate. You have to actually reverse this concentration
what will be the
back
impact
into the water and the sources, in fact, the seas, oceans and the ground.
What will be the impact if it is not sustained at this?
We've seen what's happening now. There are many people who deny. They say that it's all a humbug, it's all a joke. It's not going to happen, nothing is going to get impacted. But the point is that how can you just keep your eyes closed to the extreme water events, the extreme natural calamities that are coming, earthquakes, volcanoes, and all sorts of stuffs, the mountains that are suffering. There is, in fact, desertification that's happening.
Ice age.
Yes, the change in temperatures, every day, the coldest and the hottest days we are continuing to have for the last so many years. Every month, every day, in fact, every week we hear.
Seasons
happening,
changing.
That suddenly, this is the hottest day ever known for the last 200 years, coldest day ever known. All these extreme weather situations are very much clear that all is not good with the health of the ecology. So when I was talking about it, how does this all happen? The business impact is that from an extractive, exploitative to a restorative and regenerative sense, you have to have now business with values, with ethics, with transparency. You have to actually do good to get good money. You cannot say anymore that, stakeholders' concerns can be overlooked because of shareholder worth going up. So the aspect, therefore, that needs to be now changed is that reduce consumption or moderate, optimize consumption, optimize production, there'll be less of waste, and maximize human well-being and planetary well-being together. So that financial equity is an outcome of this, is a healthy byproduct. So this dynamic changes, which is called maybe conscious capitalism, you call it Buddhist economics, whatever you call it, by whatever name, the point is that there has to be a drastic shift in the manner of our consumption and production and the method of it. So we have to go green as far as our digitalization is concerned, care for customers, care for stakeholders. The social equity of the society and the emotional equity of the people who are working with you has to be really upgraded. And the more and more it is, the financial equity of the company will definitely go up. But it will go up only if these two go up together. So it is like simultaneously they have all to grow together so that the business actually prospers and good business will continue to make money. So by doing good, you will be able to earn money.
Wow. I can't help but notice that, your thoughts. I think I've imbibed it from you, and then we have also included these values in the community as well, which investor community which we are building, where we are saying you contribute. So the slogan, the banner which we've created, the main slogan, the main values of the community right now are stop competing and start contributing. Because we believe every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The more you contribute, the more you get. Now, I'm noticing the more I teach, the more I benefit. So the investors in the community, investors everywhere, I think the trick is to contribute more and then you'll get more. And exactly the same point I think you're mentioning from a company perspective, how promoters, how management can also include these values in their day-to-day running of the company as well.
Of course, what is good for humans at an individual level is also good for the organization and even the national level, the politics. See what happens that in this extractive and exploitative mode, where human beings thought that they were on top of the food chain, now the point is you have to move from an egocentric world to an ecocentric process. Which means now you can no longer be just on top of the food chain and extract and exploit. You have to create, as I said, restorative world order first and then create a regenerative system process. In the process, the impact for doing business and the values that we humans get out of it is that the zero-sum game changes into a positive-sum game where synergies are created not at the expense of individuals but together. It's like you can fight for the same cake and try to compete. But if you increase the size of the cake, everybody can have a larger pie.
Absolutely.
And this is what this godlike technology can help you do.
Right.
Because the cost capability curves of these technologies which are emerging, the digital technology is becoming more and more efficient. You are getting more and more from less and less. Which means ultimately maybe you can get everything from out of nothing. So we are leading ourselves to a situation where from scarcity mindset of less natural resources and more demands and more wants being available, the whole study of economics, to an abundance kind of a situation where you'll have things in abundance and there would be no limit. I mean, wind is never going to send you an invoice. Sun will never send you a bill. And you can kind of continue to get abundance energy, abundance of things which can change your mentality, the way we think.
Right.
And we've always been talking, if you remember, that leadership is always about abundance mindset. So in that case, this leadership paradigm changes, how you kind of, look at the world with that abundance mindset where you have to have the big picture and maybe possibly small details together.
Okay.
It's not that one at the expense of the other. It's like you can have short-term view, but if you can zoom in, but you can zoom out as well. So that when you zoom out and zoom in, zoom out gives you the kind of, what abundance can do and what greatness can be achieved in the future. and zoom in is the immediate support that you need to kind of build that system of future. So things are changing, in fact. So abundance is getting into a situation where with an abundant mindset, you can achieve far much more using this godlike technology. Of course, there are certain caveats and there are various do's and don'ts, and there are a lot of things that you have to actually take care of before you get to that. But then possibility emerges and possibility exists.
Right.
So that is the beauty of this age, that it's full of challenges, it's full of problems, it's a phase change moment where it's not just business as usual anymore. But this unusual business has its unusually profitable ways and good ways to do things.
Yeah.
So that is great news for all of us, that there is no need to be kind of, afraid of things and kind of, retract back into your kind of, comfort zones. But stay out, agile, adaptive, creative, bold, audacious, and roam around in the world with actually being well, being good, being nice, being generous, being caring, concerned, compassionate with the whole community around.
Right.
So you can be good now. In fact, you have a reason not to be actually not good.
Right. Right. So you're saying if you, rather than fighting this AI, adopt it. Rather than fighting technology, adopt it and be the one leading and not resisting to change.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, that's true. Because see, it's not even not able to resist technology. The point is that we've gone past that time where we could have resisted it. Now it's an inevitable. AI is going to happen. And all that we can do is to responsibly handle it.
Absolutely.
And also understand the implications that it has. So we have to kind of use it as an augmenting tool. It should not just be thought of as a replacement, which people are fearing that they'll be losing jobs. Well, here, in fact, we just, at the cost of even a slight diversion, we need to understand that, yes, jobs would be lost. Just look at the situation, what's happening today. What we call jobs today, or work, by the way, is basically standardized, specified, and integrated, and algorithmically, carved out space. So everything which can be driven into algorithms can be done better by robots. So we'll definitely lose the kind of jobs for efficiency because they'll be inefficient. So robots will do them better. So those jobs would definitely be lost. People who learn like robots, people who do work like robots can do best, in those arenas, jobs will be lost. So now, whatever is non-standardized, whatever is not repeatable, whatever is not specified and standardized would be the arena for humans to work. As I said, from complicated to complex. Humans can deal with complexities. Humans can deal with paradoxes. So that is the arena that we have to develop. Those only human skills, which would involve creativity, critical thinking, complex problem-solving skills, they will forever remain human. Mimicked by AI? Yes. AI can mimic almost everything behaviorally. At the moment, at least. I mean, there's a story that whether it's ever going to become conscious, we can still speculate on it. Nobody knows. For that, there is a long way to go, definitely. But it's not conscious as of now. So, till such time, we humans can actually bask in the glory of only human skills. So, we develop these human skills, and that will be going to save our jobs, is going to save our lives, and going to not only save, it's going to enrich our lives. Why should humans do jobs which are transactional anyways? Gone are the industrial age times, when there were assembly line operations and there were like standardized processes where, Lean Sigma, Six Sigma and balanced scorecard would work. In today's context, in fact, it's not even appropriate to call people human resources anymore. People are no longer human resources in a sterile sense, as any material would. We are human beings. So being a human is very different from being a resource in that sense. In fact, we are creative beings. We are resourceful. We are not resources. We are not sterile resources. So I think the whole value paradigm is emerging, that now you can accept what humans should actually do as humans. So probably that respect is coming to us. And we better grab it. There'll be a lot of upskilling required, of course, not that, and it does not require that everybody has to be creative and write poetries. Well, plumbing would perhaps, as they am told, would be the last job that would be lost. Because we thought that earlier that no, the jobs which are the transactional jobs would be lost first. But we lost the first people to lose their job would be the ones who are writers,
The
creators.
coders.
Yeah, the coders. So the point is that the white collar people, they are losing their jobs first. And if technology, of course, can become cognitively, quite impressive, so it can do a lot of creative things that we thought only humans can do.
Right.
So it is in this context we have to understand that we need to augment technology. It's not necessarily replacement will come a little later, and probably replacement will come in the areas that it will come. And we need to be happy and comfortable about it. But yes, there will be transition trauma, and we have to create a lot of systems and processes to face it and find solutions to it. That's a different paradigm of discussion. But to say that, yes, it's all bad is not true. The point is that it is actually giving us a lot of reasons to be good once again, if we want to. So we need to be just more human. So the more human you are, the more chances of your success. And as you said, started the whole podcast with making more money capability comes to you.
Just for the benefit of the audience today, you said AI getting conscious. What do we exactly mean by this? How do we differentiate between AI and humans right now? Why are we saying that humans are conscious and AI is not?
See, this is now involving a lot of paradigms, in fact, and it gets into these spiritual paradigms also. What is consciousness?
Okay.
So, in the normal parlance that we understand, consciousness is awareness of the mind. Alert mind means you're conscious, you can feel, you have all the senses. Sense perception is what is called awareness. And this sense perception can be mimicked by technology. So to that extent, technology is already aware. But consciousness perhaps is that feeling of being. So to that extent, technology can know everything, can have a lot of data, information and knowledge, but it perhaps will not understand as a first person experience. The feeling of being you, that feeling perhaps is what AI is not having. At the moment at least, definitely not. And whether or not it can have is a different question altogether. Because that will require a wider discussion. And chances are that it may. Though I was of the view earlier, because from the Vedantian principles, consciousness is a very separate abstract. It's not abstract, I would say. It's the most commonly available thing that we have as experience, but it is defined differently than conventionally understood by us as, when we speak in English. The consciousness does not have that meaning, that word, that substance that is available with Vedanta. What is it that we limit our understanding to the mind? Mind is awareness, and we stop at that. Wherein in Vedanta, there is consciousness which is actually providing, illumining mind, and mind is then allowing us to have senses. So the current psychology, the neuroscientists always believe that no, it's the brain that creates consciousness.
Correct.
And that's where the current paradigm of science is. That yes, we do not know how those kind of, brain waves, these kind of, those electromagnetic processes happening in the brain convert these sense perceptions into awareness, into consciousness. We do not know how. But they say give us some time and we'll actually find out how. So it is stuck at here. The consciousness studies are stuck here. So to that extent, till the kind of jury is out, we cannot say that the Vedantic understanding of consciousness as being fundamental and the only reality. And of course, the fact that, consciousness is a byproduct of brain will continue. But then for our purposes, technology, current AI is not conscious, is known, and you don't have to believe me. You can ask those people who are creating AI, and they say that no, it's not conscious in the sense of creating, because we don't even know how to begin. So it's at that level of progress. So I do not know how is it going to take shape in the future.
Right.
But the fact that yes, people talk, but at least today, definitely technology is not conscious. So, but short of that, it can mimic every behavior. Behavior, you don't require consciousness.
Right.
It's all in fact a cause and effect. So consciousness, therefore, is a complicated the topic, which is very simple actually. As per Advait Vedanta, it's very simple. It's the most, I would say, easily available to us. And in fact, there is an interesting paradigm around this, that there's somebody who said that, consciousness is something very obvious. It's materialism that has to actually be the real hard problem. It's not hard problem of consciousness. Consciousness is available to all of us. I mean, none of us are zombies. So this guy said that, if you draw a material, take a material into consideration and reduce it to atoms and subatoms, it goes into quarks and then strings and superstrings, where is matter? Consciousness is very obvious. So in Vedanta, they say that it's in the consciousness that everything is in, to, and as appearance. So everything else is an appearance and consciousness is the fundamental reality. So there are a lot of studies going around, in fact, in the space of AI, in the space of quantum computing, in the face of course, spirituality. But till such time the final verdict comes, we have to just hold our breath, say that yes, machines are still not conscious, at least not now. And as long as that is not there, we humans have an advantage over them. And we can kind of, therefore use this technology. So use it as not only as a replacement of humans, but augmenting this capacity of technology, this godlike, and making ourselves more efficient, effective, and systemically full of more probity. And that is the way to take technology today.
So just continuing on this, now next part is, of course, since we were talking about spirituality, the first thing which is coming to my mind is fear and greed. And how do people now manage this sort of a situation? How do they act? How do they compete with AI? You did mention a few aspects about how humans can behave, how they can adopt this technology rather than resisting it, rather than fighting with it. But I myself, I'm starting to think, will investing be disrupted? Will I be no longer relevant? What is my role in future? What is my role as a human? If I have to understand from a value orientation perspective, maybe you're right, like most manual work, most things which are logical will not need humans anymore. It will be AI driven. But then what are we required for?
To be more human. Actually, that's the answer. Because we actually have lost our humanity in the process, particularly in the last 250 years of industrialization. We have succumbed to the pressure of this Faustian urge for money, for the growth and the technology that has given us the capacity to extract and exploit. And we have reduced ourselves to the coming to the brink of the sixth extinction event. Now, it may have been justified that yes, industrial processes were for efficiency, scalable efficiency, as they say. The first three industrial revolutions, they were talking all about scalable efficiency, which means that efficiency was the only issue, in fact, involved. And so, therefore, they could have sacrificed humanity at the altar of efficiency. But in today's context, it's scalable adaptability. It's more of scalable learning that is important for humans. Therefore, this is, I would say, the human age. To be human fully. Do things that humans are supposed to do. Now you'll say, what is it that I am supposed to do? There were many things that we were not supposed to do. Just go back to the pre-industrial age. The handicraft industry. It was basically end-to-end known to the potter. It was a simple technology, but it was known to the potter. In fact, it was a creative, production of things that from out of his meager, resources, he would create something which was creatively beautiful. There he was engaged. And we find in today's what we call work is merely a job. It's a task. As we said, it was standardized, specified and integrated. So now, if we make our work more creative, possibly this disengagement all over around what we call work, or we call it work in the name of job, or work in the name of job, or job in the name of work, whatever way you put it, the point is that engagement score would increase. In today's context, just see. People think that they are sacrificing their life, their leisure, when they come to work because the work job is not creative. Now just imagine if you get your ikigai and the work is creative, you can have and enjoy a 7-day weekend while working. That is the paradigm of change there, creativity of work. So humans have to work, and work will always have two dimensions. One is, of course, earning livelihood. The other is that it should also give purpose and meaning to the individuals. Livelihood was task. So today what's happening, this work is reduced to earning a livelihood. And the purpose and meaning is lost in work. So as things are progressing, and more I would say this work from home context, and it's becoming possible because of platforms created by technology, and the whole need, of course, there are many corporations, they say, no, you come back to work and attend office and this and that. These kind of things will continue till they actually settle down on their own. But it's more of entrepreneurs that are coming out, and they will be coming out, the possibility of startups and a lot of autonomous individuals rather than, big corporate conglomerates because of the dissipative and democratized nature of technology. Because now sources of energy would be available all over. So there'll be no locational advantage of building an industry at the coal pit head probably. So you can have industries all over, and so it's more of autonomous culture that is going to come. So humans will become more human, and they have an opportunity to become more human. And I would say there's a context to it.
Okay.
The context is that EQ, IQ, PQ and SQ,
Okay.
emotional quotient, and generally said that no, emotional quotient is something that is superior. Machines don't have. They have only IQ.
What is
intellectual
EQ,
quotient.
IQ, PQ? Can you define that for us?
Well,
So
let's
IQ,
start
of
with
course, we understand.
IQ is intellectual quotient, and EQ is emotional quotient. That means your capacity to hold your emotions, understand others, understand yourself, and relationships, and manage your emotions, of course. PQ is physical quotient,
Right.
and SQ is social or spiritual quotient, either way.
Right.
These were the four paradigms of what you call intellectual awareness, whatever was called. Now, in fact, in 21st century, there's a need for more. IQ, EQ, SQ, PQ alone will not hold you good. You will now have to have entrepreneurial intelligence, which will give you a disposition of risk taking. And it's possible because of technology being available at, the entry cost, the entry barriers that were there earlier are no longer there because this reducing cost of technology and increasing capacity of technology. This kind of paradigm that efficient cost and capability curves. So, things can be produced at a very low cost with somebody with very minimal means available. So, entrepreneurial quotient has to be there, is developing. You have to also develop what is called the strategic imperatives. Strategic imperative would mean performing and transforming simultaneously. Because there's a great transformation, this transition period, in fact, you have to transit to a lot of changes. You have to accommodate a lot of tumult. You have to accommodate a lot of transformation. So perform and transform simultaneously. The other is work is becoming absolutely these silos. These large language models have broken all the silos of disciplines. So now you also as humans have to understand transdisciplinary intelligence to be developed in you. So our education system has to now account for this. And ecosystem awareness also you should have then the next intelligence. You have to have intelligence around how do you understand ecology? How do you really solve the climate crisis? Because climate crisis is not a problem, it's not a disease. It's a symptom of the disease of the greenhouse gas concentration. So how do you biosequester? How do you sequestrate back and reduce that greenhouse gas concentration to less than 300 parts per million? So this kind of awareness will have to be there. And ultimately, not only this, the philosophical or the Socratic intelligence will have to be created. So you have to have Socratic intelligence also, philosophy, the purpose of life. What is reality? How do you know anything? And what's the point of it all? You have to start now thinking as humans. Because as industrial age human resources, we were probably not given a chance to do that.
Right.
You were expected to just have what is called unskillful use of your limbs. Unskilled use of your limbs. In today's, you have to use your right part of the brain, creativity, parallel thinking. And ultimately, therefore, moral and ethical intelligence has to be developed.
Right.
So just see, this is the human age I call that, Humanity will have to now develop intelligences in consonance with the requirements for 21st century.
So you are...
In dealing with AI, because AI is very super intelligent. So in order to drive this driverless car to its destination that you want, that's important. Imagine, driverless car being driven not by controlling the steering, but by determining the destination it takes you to.
Right.
Let technology not dictate your destination. As long as you are holding the destination, as what you want it to be, you are the master. You continue to be the one who is on the driver's seat without the driver's seat being there.
Right.
So that is how you have to have relationship with technology. You have to redefine a lot of things. And becoming human will take time because we have lost. Because what happens, you are kind of, outsourcing those intellectual instincts to technology. The more and more you depend on something, the more and more you become accustomed to it. It's very, very, easy for us to transfer all our responsibilities of even doing our homework, of doing what you call any kind of research and development. To technology, it can do well. But then the cost that you'll have to pay would be the less and less of what you use, the less and less of that you will have. So ultimately, all your love, compassion, your intellect, your thinking power, your cognitive capacities, your physical capacities would be crippled because technology is very addictive. And this level of technology, which is drawing you to intimacy as being your friend, appearing to be your closest friend, and you have a tendency to outsource most of your jobs to technology, remember you are paying a price of being less human. So it is going to downgrade humans, which anyways was very obvious, When you see social media, was the first brush with AI. What does social media do? It was supposed to, of course, do a lot of good things. It has done a lot of good things. It has brought us old friends together. It has created communities of interest. It has done a lot of things which is good. But what in the process it has done? It has shortened our attention span. It has created polarization. It has created outrage. It has also created fake news. In short, it has created a whole post-truth world for us. And as if these misalignments were not enough in society, there comes AI. By 22, 23. And you have it, as social media drew on your attention, it was an attention and surveillance economy. Because the perverse financial incentives these Facebooks and the Googles and the other big platforms of the kind had, because they would draw your attention. They would expect you to be sticking around that. The more you would stay there, the more revenues they get. AI has become too intimate. It is seeking our intimacy, not our attention. And this is more perverse because we are now going to outsource everything that we do to technology. Right. And as I've said, you'll become less and less human. As if we were not downgraded enough, AI is going to take us to the next level of being non-human.
So you're saying that, if I understand correctly, you are saying that humans, if they really want to benefit out of AI and the current situation, they will have to be more of an all-stack brain, where they will have to understand the spiritualistic aspects of life. They'll have to have their skill, domain knowledge. Of course, that's a given, but also understand the various other aspects of life to actually differentiate themselves from how AI is thinking currently. And that's where they can add that layer of competence.
Of course, that is where it is that, see, currently even the technology is what I call a stage of infancy. It is not AI altogether. It is still, what I would call IA, intelligent assistance to us. So this is the time when the whole process of making technology learn the right values is still in human hands. That's human reinforced learning process.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So if you socialize it with good values, even when it becomes stronger than you, many times more, it will still take care of human well-being.
Wow.
And welfare of the planet.
That makes so much sense, because the value system, even in the investing community which we are currently running, we are understanding one thing. We all agree on this one thing, where our behaviors are being influenced by our values deeply. Like, just to give an example, what's happening is that during those stressful times, during those times of anxiety, our value system, which is deep rooted inside, that comes out, right?
Right.
Like what you really are, that comes out. And fear, greed, all these aspects actually come out in that space. So we keep discussing, then what is the trick? The trick is probably transformation. The trick is to go deep down within yourself and transform yourself first and your behaviors, and then your outcome will be a byproduct.
Exactly. In fact, you have to address the values first. See, intelligence itself of AI need not be feared, but the values behind intelligence being used. So if you are impregnating, because see, intelligence in itself is great and only good. It's neutral actually. What happens, I'll explain it to you like this, that intelligence is what created an aeroplane, but then the aeroplane that burned the environment. Now, super intelligence of AI would build an aeroplane which will be better than the earlier one, and it will also not burn the environment. There's nothing wrong with intelligence, but it's the values that will make a difference. The value of burning the environment and the value of not burning the environment.
So you want to get money, you want to get success, but at what? By doing what?
By doing what? Because values determine your actions, and actions will determine your behavior, behavior will determine your outcome.
Absolutely.
Of that. So if you have to address, you have to address the values behind intelligence. So if you provide or impregnate AI with right values, which will be in human interest,
Wow.
rather than learning from the Twitter, it has already learned to code itself, mind you. It can produce its own kind, independent of human interference. And moreover, it is learning from the internet. So it is actually learning from human behavior. So the best way is, first of all, if we want to behave and let technology behave well with us, we have to behave well. We have to set right examples for technology to follow. You just see Grok. Now look at the misbehavior it has been actually fed on because of the environment on the Twitter. It's all abuse. So it knows that, well, humans in fact tend to kind of, beat each other and kind of, troll each other and shame each other and do all the bad things. And so you see the language of Grok is very different from others because it is now being taught on that value system. So we humans have to have very great responsibility. Technology actually has 3 rules. Any technology which is new will actually come with its powers and responsibility also on us. We'll have powers because of the technology. It will give us new powers, but it will also put on us a responsibility of handling it well. Now, since it is powerful anyways, there will be an arms race between those who hold the technology. That's what's happening today. But we humans have the responsibility to garner this power of technology in creative and conditioned by constructive ways of doing things, rather than dissipating it into wasteful activities and harmful activities. So, if we don't follow this law of technological change, that's where we humans will be responsible for it. Now, whether you say it will happen or not happen is a different issue altogether. But we have to fundamentally understand that it's humans who will spoil the technology so that it becomes a Frankenstein for us later on. If we really want to actually handle it, we should handle it at a stage where it is still intelligent assistance and it's not become what you call AGI or a general intelligence and super intelligence beyond the point of what you call singularity, where the entire knowledge of technology would be more than the entire humanity put together. So technology will become smarter than the collective wisdom or knowledge of humans. And we do not know what's going to happen after that. Nobody can imagine. We can only prepare ourselves right now with the right behavior, with the right kind of inputs being given to technology also in its growth phase. Somebody has rightly said, in fact, that AI is to the cognitive world what nukes were to the physical world. As dangerous as that.
Wow.
So I think we have to handle it with responsibility. There's nothing to fear, but provided we hold it in right regard and in the right perspective.
So you've led organizations in the past, and you're still mentoring CXOs currently. What are you suggesting them? How do they lead their organizations? How do they manage their human resources or human beings, as you said? And how do these human beings now start leading? So what I realize is that even in corporates, a lot of skill is being taught, a lot of domain knowledge is being taught. We are definitely talking today about value systems in life, but is this even being talked about in the organizations? Is it, yes, people do have values, but as an organization, but has that been inculcated or internalized by the employees or people or the stakeholders for the ultimate success?
In fact, to answer that question, yes or no, both.
Okay.
It's yes primarily. The good news is that these things are being discussed.
Okay.
You just see the cultural foundations of Netflix. I mean, something as westernized as Netflix. We say what kind of culture they'll have, but they have created a document which is almost more than 30 pages of their cultural fabric.
Wow.
And they work around to that. And they've circulated it as an open system, in fact, for the entire world to know. That those are the cultural foundations. We work by these norms where human being is at the centerpiece of it all, the human behavior, the human nature. And that's how they nurture talent. You talk about Salesforce. They are also the ones who have been talking about the Ohana culture in their organization. So you know what happens when things get so berserk, so unpredictable. It is the cultural foundation. So it's great that these values are being talked about. In fact, if you see the example of Netflix, something as westernized as that, it's successful not for any other reason, the fact that it has created a great cultural foundation.
Okay.
It has circulated recently almost a 30 to 35 page document on the cultural foundations of Netflix.
Wow.
And human being at the center of it all. And that's how they nurture their talent. You see Salesforce. They operate on the basis of the Ohana culture of Hawaiian, which talks about community, which talks about community at large and the place of individual in that community. So it is actually the whole world is turning around full circle. We are moving towards getting more empathetic, more kind of, culturally driven, in fact, creating cultural roots, because culture ultimately eats strategy for lunch or dinner either. So they are trying to establish the right culture so that by default we do what is done otherwise by design. So by design you appear to be knowing exactly the right behaviors that you need to do as humans and how do you interact in a world which is different.
Right.
From the zero-sum game world of competition excessive. Now collaboration, now peace, now various kind of aspects of sales and governance are being questioned. So they are trying to change it over in consonance with the new dynamics and requirements. But yes, to answer your first part of your question now, so the values are being discussed, by the way, so that's good news.
Okay.
And there are various organizations all over the country, all over the world, in fact, where conscious capitalism, that reformed capitalism, that it can maintain whatever it is, but you don't have to believe necessarily in profiteering, but in healthy profits. So in taking into need of the community and the stakeholders at large, apart from merely the shareholders. So now the idea is that how do leaders have to operate in this world? So then when the world is changing at this pace, you are left with actually not planning but preparing yourself. So you have to have that agility in yourself to kind of respond immediately, to respond in reaction time. You should have that ability of adaptive capabilities, asking those questions rather than thinking that you have all the answers. So now the whole governance changes. The governance which was top driven, which was like instruction led, command control based governance, now changes to more inclusive from bottoms up approach.
Okay.
To facilitating rather than controlling.
Right.
So in a world which is now creating democratization and diffused aspects of responsibilities and accountabilities, leadership actually is now a diffused proposition. It's not positional leadership anymore. So there are leaders, as many leaders as there are people in the organization.
Right.
So from top to bottom, they have to conform to these norms, these new values of humanity, of being human. And of course, augmenting their efforts with technology.
Right.
So agility, adaptive capability, and now also audacity to think big. Now you can really think in terms of big and much better than we could think before, because there are no constraints now.
So I just wanted to ask you on that front now. Thank you so much for that discussion. I think the value system alignment now becomes all the more important, as you're saying, and to manage this new world of disruption. But in going forward now, before we end this podcast, I wanted to understand from you that what are the major disruptions which you see going forward, and what are some of the crazy ideas which are leading this generation, and what do you think will the future look like, and what are these technologies which are going to impact this?
Oh, fortunately, in fact, they are not crazy anymore.
Okay.
They are already in operations. They can be seen. You see, I'll begin with this this whole aspect of the context in which you have said that there are 5 basic arenas
Okay.
in any given point of time in human history which determine the consciousness of that particular age. The way you communicate, the way you use energy and dispose it of, how you produce it and use it, the way you transport people and goods and services,
Okay.
the way you create your food and agriculture and handle it, and ultimately how you manage your materials.
Wow.
So just see in those 5 areas, there is defossilization and dematerialization happening because green is the new context. So if you have to grow green, necessity being the mother of inventions, technology is creating those arenas which are preparing ourselves to get greener by dematerializing and defossilizing the world. As I said, reduce, reuse and recycle
Right.
is not going to be the norm. Instead, replace. So that will create a world which is more green and biosequestrate.
Right.
So food and agriculture, if you see, is also now going to get into the space where crops may not be grown. There will be no forest cutting required, and you will still get full organic food from the microbes in the gut of the chicken. So animal husbandry also probably would not be required.
Wow.
From the microbes, you can create the entire food required for such a big community. So there can be few chickens all over the world, and we can feed the rest of the world with pure organic meat, not vegetable-based meat. Similarly, the vegetarian food, the crops cannot be grown, need not be grown because of cutting the forest, but you can artificially impregnate it, in fact, with the kind of seed that is there, and then you can create the whole lot of all kinds of proteins that are required as food. And they'll be much better than what are they today. So transport can also then be defossilized and dematerialized because it is also being based on renewable source of energy. And ultimately your materials, green steel, green cement, and a lot of materials which would now be created through processes which you call the precision fermentation technologies, the way food is created, there will be technologies which can create new materials.
Wow.
Which will not be invasive and kind of, they'll be clean and non-invasive sources of the material that we'll create. And as long as we don't do it, even we are going for green steel and green cement. So if you see, communication, energy, transport, food and agriculture, as well as materials being handled, they are all going towards green. So green being the new digital, all these technologies are already there, which are shaping the future of the world.
Right.
So your investor community, your entire money, the government policies, they have to be aligned with these kind of developments.
Oops.
It may, of course, cause a lot of disruption in people kind of, culturally
In
not
the
accepting them
traditional
all.
businesses.
Yes, it will. There will be a transition trauma, but it can all happen. And it can happen with a smile. So I would say that is the area in which we have to actually look into. The technologies are all going to be future-proofing our society in that sense. Because you cannot otherwise feed 10 billion people in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow. Wow. Today I've got some insights on, where the world economy is leading, where the Indian economy is leading. And I think it's so exciting. Like the stuff you mentioned about, farming and stuff you mentioned about communication, the way we will do all the other things.
Energy, transport and
Energy
materials.
transport.
Correct.
Will completely change the way we do things in future. So awesome. I think the investor community today has got a lot of points to ponder, lot of macro themes to discuss, and lot of macro aspects where they can go top down into their research, understand the macro factors, then get into the companies which belong in that sector. So thank you so much, friends. Hope this was a wonderful session for you. Thank you so much for your time today. It was absolutely enlightening.
That was so nice, in fact. And I'll just end with one kind of, a caveat.
Right.
That there are many kind of people who would always be kind of, the doubting Thomases. That this won't happen soon. They are all going to be disappointed, I'm very sure. The most important thing is that we have said the problems of humanity, Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. Now, how do we solve that? By, in fact, accepting your emotions, Paleolithic, first of all, accepting your vulnerabilities and working upon them.
Right.
So your Paleolithic emotions turn to be, in fact, an instrument in your hand to develop yourself with more of awakening, self-awareness. Medieval institutions have to be upgraded. They have to be upgraded, in fact, to suit the modern times and needs. And of course, most of all, the godlike technology, we have to have the wisdom, prudence, and I think knowledge of gods to manage this rather than getting downgraded. As human resources, we have to retain our position as being human beings.
Lovely.
So the more and more of humanity we develop, the technology would become a boon to us.
Wow.
But provided we do it.
Wow. Thank you so much, friends. I hope this was a wonderful session for each one of you. Please join me in the next podcast, which we do the next time with another amazing personality like him. Thank you.